The wait is finally over, and I'm here to review the Atari 400 Mini. I know there's a lot of Atari 8-bit computer fans excited about this new product, and on my channel I cover a lot of things Atari. I cover many of their products and games, and you may want to check out my playlist. But in today's video, I'm taking a look at the newest Mini, and you know what? It's a cute little device, and I'm going to be sharing some features with it, going through all the games that are included on this device, check out some Homebrew and Aftermarket games, as well as try to add some games, test some controllers, and give you my thoughts overall. So sit back, relax. You may want to grab some popcorn. Here we go. The 400 Mini joins the C64 Mini and the Amiga 500 Mini, as well as the C64. And here it is. This is going to be released March 28th. It is available for pre-order. It is on Amazon with the affiliate link in the descriptions for about 120 bucks. Press kit was sent to me, and so I don't have retail packaging, but was told this is the final product. And here we go. Here it is. It is. Very small. 4 USB ports in the front with a USB jack in the back. You can't open up the door. And there's no working buttons other than the on and off button switch in the back. It takes a USB power cord and does not include a power brick. Wah wah. Anyways, comes with a beige HDMI cable as well. And what's really interesting is the joystick. The joystick has 8 working buttons. It has 4 action buttons on the top center ring. Very unique there, with home and menu buttons on the top, and a left hand side shoulder button. You can play this right and left handed, and so pretty interesting design here to take the best optimization of the original Atari joystick. USB, it's about 1.8 meters, almost 6 feet, so pretty nice length of joystick cable there. And here's the power cord. No brick, so you have to provide your own brick. It can be plugged into a TV from what I've been told. So, and here it is, just a basic guide, not the full manual, and the full manual will be online eventually. And so I wanted to compare this. I did this in a previous video, but I wanted to include it here. I do have 2 original Atari 400 units and wanted to compare it to the original. Here is the original Atari 400. It's a beast. And wanted to compare it to the cute new Mini. I thought it'd be interesting to show it, and there it is. Pretty close to the color match, and wow, look at the size of that. Compared to the original, it's tiny. Anyways, if you're new to my channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell, as I cover many things Atari if you enjoy what you're seeing. Here it is, booting up the unit. You choose your language, and you go through kind of a standard run-of-the-mill options here. It does do 50 and 60 hertz for different types of TV setups. Very cool to see that. It's important that you choose the right one. There are some display options, 4:3 or pixel perfect. You can enable the CRT effect and choose a multitude of different frames. And so always nice to see that on these minis, as there's different people that, you know, some people want to mimic that CRT feel. I like a real nice crisp picture personally. The frames kind of semi-generic. I had a hard time kind of picking one, so I'll choose that one. Here's some more options. You go to advanced options, system options, music volume. Thought there'd be more options here, but system information. This is 1.00, so no firmware updates. This is just OG, first out of the box. And so multitude of games. I'm going to be showing gameplay from all 25 included games, and then I'm going to show you some aftermarket games and additional games that I try using a USB stick. Now, the good news is there's a multitude of controllers that are compatible with this. If you don't like the original Atari joystick it comes with, you can use the joystick, the Amiga 500 pad. You can use PS4, PS3, all wired, by the way. 8-bit DOE wired, even a generic PS2 controller. That one was wireless, by the way. It came with a little USB stick that you plug in. Yeah, so whatever you choose, even the Atari VCS 800 modern controller was fully functional. So you can use these controllers to fully operate all the menus and all the different buttons on the Atari 400 Mini. The compatibility is not limited to these controllers. Also Xbox, Switch, no problem. Wired. They're going to have a full manual on their website after launch. So there wasn't one available yet. I was shown a rough draft. So let's jump in. First up is Airball, and multiple rooms, and it gives you some help. Shows you how each game plays with the built-in joystick. And so there's lots of different things that you can do. Lots of different options here. There is a rewind feature up to 40 seconds and save slots. So that's really important. There's lots of different ways to play this. Here is essentially Airball. And what I found is some games control better than others with the built-in joystick. I had a little bit of trouble with this one. It wasn't impossible to control, but it was a little awkward. Next up, another early classic for the Atari computer line is Asteroids. 18 game variations, up to 4 players. And this is a nice multiplayer game. And lots of different options, fast asteroids, bounce, you name it. Yeah, not my favorite version of Asteroids though, and part of that is I've been spoiled by playing, Asteroids Recharge. But if you're going to look for some nostalgia, you're going to love this version. The save slots are a nice feature. There's a lot of little subtle nods and homage to the original line. Nice to see that, and well received. Worked fine. Next up is Basketball. And what they did is they tried to offer a multitude of different types of games on this lineup. So not my favorite game whatsoever. A very early and rudimentary sports game. But here it is, and some people might have some nostalgia for it. I tend to gravitate to the arcade games, and here is Battlezone. And I forgot how excellent this is. Kind of a late release, 87. I do believe for the Atari XE game system, and plays great, looks great, plays and looks a lot like the arcade release, and awesome to see that this Atari computer line was able to pull off such a great port. And I know for some out there, you're gonna love that this is on here. Then you had Berserk, which is fantastic, includes voice and tough as nails. I love that you can stand stationary and fire away at the enemy robots. And man, what a cool game, and a very good port. I haven't played this port as much as the 2600 release, but enjoyed it. But fairly difficult. Again, I probably should go back and play some of these with a PS4 controller. It was a little bit difficult with the original stick included, but nevertheless, I know some people are going to love playing with this built-in controller. For me, it was kind of hit and miss with games. I think overall there was a great curation of games. Boulder Dash is on here, and this is probably one of the timeless classics of the 8-bit computer line. So well done. I could just sit here and play this and stop doing this review, but I must move on and show you the other games. Excellent choice. I think overall the games are more hit than miss. And you know what? Another game that played great with the built-in controller is Bristles. A fantastic little game. I have not given this one enough time. I just need to check it out. You're going up and down elevators, painting rooms. Just a wonderful game, and so glad that it was included in this library. Then you had this 3D classic, Capture the Flag, and it's like a 2-player way out. Not my favorite game, but I know some people are going to be appreciative that this game is included. Then you had timeless classics such as Centipede. Now, I grew up a lot with the Atari 2600 version and played the Atari 7800 version. So this is kind of, for me, kind of the middle child, one that I played the least amount, and it's alright. You know, it's functional here. Looks better graphically than the 2600 counterpart. Awesome to see Crystal Castles offered here, another arcade classic. And I think, again, there's a lot offered on this multitude of 25 games built in that are going to satisfy a lot of Atari fans, especially 8-bit computer fans that are often overlooked. You have a product that's representing a computer line that becomes kind of the redheaded stepchild, unfortunately, with compilations. So it's sweet to see this game in particular offered here. Then you had kind of hits like this Electra Slide, and what a great racing game to include on this compilation for people such as me that, you know, I'm a casual Atari 8-bit computer enthusiast, and I didn't know about this game. So I'm sure, you know, big Atari fans love that this is included. I didn't know anything about this, but enjoyed it. I'm glad it was included on this package. Then you had classics like Encounter, which can be sometimes compared to Battlezone, and it was offered on some other classic computers of the time. And you know what? I like this one. Not a lot of experience with it either, but enjoyed seeing it here and playing it. Another title I didn't know a lot about. Some of this is going to be preference, but I found at least games such as Flip and Flop a little bit difficult to control with the built-in controller. And you know what? Using a PlayStation 4 controller and going back and trying to play this, I found it much easier to play. You know, the 8-bit computer line has so many classics that a lot of people outside of classic computing may not know about. Henry's House is one of these. Didn't know anything about this title and enjoyed it, and I can't wait to go back and play more. However, Buvver is kind of an odd duck. This was ported. It was originally made by Jeff Minter and then ported to the Atari 8-bit computer line. Not my favorite game. I don't know, the control was just a little wonky, at least from my first initial experience, and I'm going to move on. Next up is Lee, which was renamed Lee, probably due to licensing reasons. It was initially called Bruce Lee. Now, this is a classic, and a lot of people grew up with this, especially on the Commodore 64, and I found it to be difficult to control with the pack-in joystick, and I don't know what it was. It was just having an issue with moving around and getting off moves. But once I played with the PS4 controller, I had no problems with this game. So I don't know if it's just a sensitivity issue that needs to be tweaked with the pack-in controller. But I had a hard time moving around with this one, and I don't know why. I wanted to make sure it wasn't the game itself, and just played it with a multitude of other controllers, you know, and no problem. But with the pack-in controller, I had some difficulty. It's hard to shrink the awesomeness of Mule, but it boils down to a supply and demand economics game that's multiplayer. And it has lots of great gameplay aspects to it. It's an absolute gem. It is probably one of the best on the Atari 8-bit computer line. And to offer it on this package is amazing. It's a great 4-player game and a must-play. And look it up. There's tons of information about this game. It is a must-play, and I'm so happy to see it included here. Next, you have Millipede, which I always enjoyed more than Centipede. And playing with the controller is okay. I wish there was an option, or maybe there is a way, to play with a trackball. And so I would love to see a product offered for the Atari Mini in the future where you can use a trackball to play some of these amazing arcade games, but nevertheless, still fun to play. Another timeless classic for the 8-bit computer line is Missile Command. And another one I wouldn't mind being able to play with a trackball, but I played many a game with a joystick and had a lot of fun going back and playing this one. The other game I had difficulty with the pack-in controller was O'Reilly's Mine. And I don't know what it is, just I get kind of hung up and killed every time. But I went back and played this with the PlayStation 4 controller, no problem. Was able to last a lot longer. Seven Cities of Gold is a good example of an early open world video game. Lots of strategy here, and for many, this is going to be the game that you're going to spend lots of time on. It's an excellent choice for this compilation included with this 25 game collection, and a must play. Another hit that's offered on this compilation is Star Raiders 2, and this has a very in-depth history. Has to do with a Last Starfighter tie-in that was never meant to be, and there's also another Star Raiders 2 that was worked on and released publicly in 2015. Go to Wikipedia and find out about it, but this version is good and it is well done and worth playing. Wavy Navy is another classic game shooter, kind of a little bit like a cross between Galaxian, Space Invaders, and Moon Patrol. Really enjoyed this one, and one I hadn't played quite a bit of, and I'm glad it was included with this collection of games. And finally, you had Yoomp, and this shows the capabilities of what the Atari 8-bit computer line could do. Absolutely brilliant kind of 3D puzzler, and really enjoyed this one. It's also on the Atari 50 collection, and fantastic way to round out this compilation. Adding games is as easy as taking the original Atari 8-bit files and putting them on a USB drive with not in any folders, and you should notice a USB stick in the carousel in your setup menu, and you go into it and you should be able to locate games and choose the right console to set them up and jump right in. The Last Squadron, which I did purchase, both the digital copy and the physical release from the developer, works great. And it's nice to see, these high-end aftermarket games. This is an awesome classic shooter. It's a little bit of Tiger Helleye, it's a little bit of Twin Cobra, it's a little bit of lots of classic arcade games put all into one, and fantastic. And you must play this. One of the better releases for the Atari 8-bit computer line, and a fairly recent release. I did a video on it talking about how awesome this is. Physical releases still offered as well. Now, not everything works. Tried to get Blue Max to run XEX file, does not work. Tried to get the cassette file to work, and it ran slow. Really disappointed that, a classic such as Blue Max is not working. I don't know why. But then you had Donkey Kong Arcade, which is like a modification of Donkey Kong, which is already amazing on the Atari 8-bit line, and this works great. So it's going to be a case-by-case basis whether or not your game is going to work. I had more work than not, but not having Blue Max work was a total bummer for me. I don't know what's going on with that, but you know what? I found pretty much the games varied. Prince of Persia, which is one of the best releases for the Atari XL XE line. It is stunning. I couldn't believe playing this. Just looks brilliant. And if you haven't checked this out, it is just one of the best releases for the Atari 8-bit line, and just a wonderful release. Can't believe how excellent it looks and plays, and animation and everything. Just, oh my gosh, just awesome. A+ to me. Anyways, just want to show that, for the most part, many of the releases I threw at this work. And so it wasn't too complex. Now, to get certain controls, that's a whole other different story, especially for like a 5200 controller setup. That was a whole other ball of wax. But the good news is, if you want to play it, if you want to tweak with a controller, you have to take essentially a modern controller and calibrate it and set up the button configurations to make it work with the Atari 5200 controller. But, classics such as Atari Blast work fine. If you haven't played this classic shooter, this is amazing as well. And so, for the most part, very satisfied with the initial release of the Atari 400 Mini. Has some control issues with a few games with the pack-in joystick. Not all the games that you load on it work, but you know, for a 1.0 without any firmware updates, I think many people are going to be satisfied with what you know, Retrogames did here, and you know that they're going to continue to support this mini computer and offer some firmware updates to make it even better. I would like to have trackball support. I would like to have them have a product at least offer that, but I think there's overall enough in this product to support it and to say out of the box it does a lot right. Doesn't do everything right, has some issues, and there's going to be some people who are going to have issues with some things not working 100%. I was able to play Breakout here using a PS4 controller, using the analog sticks, kind of like a paddle. Is it perfect? No, but you can adjust the sensitivity and make it a little bit better. But, you know, overall, would like to have some paddles. You know, that's another product I think Retrogames could offer that would go over well, offering some paddles that would work on the Atari 8-bit computer line. Now, you can load 5200 ROMs. It has kind of an emulator for the keypad there. Maybe that's another product that Retrogames could offer, as a 5200 controller for people that want to have that authentic feel. You know, maybe a 5200 controller that doesn't break, but at least it was able to load the ROM. To calibrate it and to set it up was a little bit more difficult, but it can be done. Overall, a good start. Not a bad product, a good product. Needs some room for improvement and some firmware updates to make it optimal. And I know that some fans are going to wait because it has some issues. Now, overall, it still gets a thumbs up for me, and I think it's a good product, and I think many enthusiasts are going to enjoy this. Now, I don't know why there was control issues with a few of the games included on this collection, but using something like a PlayStation 4 controller made a huge difference. And you know what? This thing is compatible with many different controllers wired, and you may want to check that out. And overall, I think it offers a wide variety of gaming, and if you're a big fan of the Atari 8-bit computer line, there's going to be a lot here to enjoy. Now, a few games, notable games, did not work. I don't know what that's about. You know what? I tried a couple different things. And, you know, for some, that's going to be disappointing. But rest assured, I think there's going to be firmware updates to make this much better and more compatible with the huge Atari 8-bit computer line. So, in the comments below, let me know, what did you think? Tried to do my best to cover this as best as possible. Tried to cover many different features, show the games, and give you my thoughts. In the comments below, let me know yours. Anyways, if you're new to my channel, you may want to consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell, as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Let's keep it positive. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.